Hey guys, welcome back, or if you're new, then welcome to my channel. My name is Mika, and today's video we're going to talk about a day in my life as a data analyst and the 3 top tools that I use on a daily. So my beginners out there who are trying to figure it out about becoming a data analyst or anything like that, this is the video for you. So we're going to learn about the 3 top tools that you're definitely going to need to be a successful data analyst. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, then let's get to it. All right. Okay, so I know that a lot of you guys come on here, you're looking for ways to figure out what it's going to be like once you become a data analyst, or maybe you're already in the already in a program where you're learning and you're just trying to figure out what you're getting yourself into, what your day-to-day is. And so here, I'm just here just to let you know the 3 things that I use mainly on a daily basis every day as a data analyst. Okay, there are tons of other BI tools that are out there, but these are the top 3 that I use the most just about every single day: Excel, Power BI, and SQL. So these are the 3 things that I use. All right, so if you see me looking over here, I'm just looking at some notes or whatever, but Excel. So Excel is something that you're definitely going to have to know. Nobody's asking you to be a master in Excel, because I'm definitely not that. I am not a master when it comes to Excel at all. I'm not out here writing these crazy formulas. No, girlfriend, that ain't me. You will need to have Excel for 2 main things, okay? Number 1, whenever you're trying to create a report, you're going to find out when you're in the actual fields and you're working for a company, regardless of how big and small they are, you're going to find out that they still do a lot of things manually. So that means that they're manually pulling information and putting it into an Excel sheet, and to them, that's their report, okay? But they want you to take that Excel sheet and then make it visual, and they'll praise you for it. Okay, so what all you have to do at that point is just pretty much take the Excel sheet, upload it into your BI tool. For me, it's Power BI. So I take my Excel sheet, upload it into Power BI, and then I pretty much create a report. Now, if I'm only needing this report one time, this is the best solution. Just take that Excel sheet, voila, there you go. Now, if it is a report that they need constantly all the time, that they'll use more than once, then what I can do is ask them to save it into a certain folder inside of their drive, and then I can actually create a path from my Power BI report to that Excel sheet. And then that way, as long as they're updating that Excel sheet every day or however often they're updating it, it will then transfer over into the Power BI report and then update the report. Okay, so that's the one thing I do love about Power BI that was completely different from what I've learned from SSRS. There is another part of Excel as well. So you have what we call where you actually create what we call ad hoc reports. Okay, so this is when someone wants you to turn something around very quickly for them. Okay, and so for me, I had a manager that reached out to me. They asked me to pull a report and show for the last 6 months the amount of people that had passed away that had credit cards, and they wanted to know whether or not those credit cards were still closed or if they were open. And if they were open, they wanted to know what the balance was, and then also they wanted to know whether or not there was an authorized signer on the account. In this situation, I literally had to query this report, and then I got it and I pulled it from my database, all the information, and I put it into an Excel sheet. Okay, now when it comes to Excel, like I said, you're going to use it for your report, and that's perfectly great. When you're creating ad hoc reports, you can just put an Excel sheet and give it to them, okay? But then there's a second part to Excel that you're going to need to know. You're going to need to know XLOOKUP, VLOOKUPs, and PivotTables. So I'm not saying that you have to master Excel, but you do need to know how to use XLOOKUP, VLOOKUP, either one, and also how to do a pivot table. Now, Power BI or reporting tool. So for me, it is Power BI. Go home and just create you a little Excel sheet and create you some dummy data and just put it in there, and then create your report. And then be very flashy with it, be very creative, and create you a dashboard. Not just one report, create a full dashboard that can be very interactive, that has a lot of colors, that does a lot of great things, and it can do so much. You have plenty of experience learning how to craft it and critique it and build your reports, working with DAX and all of that. That's that. Now, the last thing here is going to be SQL. Oh my gosh. SQL. So, some people say, Amika, I have absolutely no experience in SQL. SQL scares me or whatever. Don't be afraid to code. You do not have to be a master at coding. You do not. So I'm just going to give you a few key things that you can learn about SQL. That is pretty much really all you need as a data analyst. A lot of the querying that you're going to be doing is called ad hoc queries. So that means they're going to be very simple, not very complex, but somewhat a query that you can turn around pretty quickly. So my people who are currently in a SQL class or considering taking it, but coding kind of scares you, you don't know anything about coding, it's fine. The number one thing that you should know out of anything, and that is joins. I can't even really express how important joins are. The reason why is because I can count out of 9 years on 2 fingers how many times I actually pulled all the data that I needed from one table. So joins is something you're going to need to know. So you're going to need to know about a left join, right join, outer join, inner join, cross join, self join. You're going to have to know them, okay? And it's important. Joins are super easy once you get it down, I promise you. Now, the next thing you would definitely need to know about, oh my goodness, it's going to be system functions. So you will learn about system functions as you're going through your coding classes. So if you don't pay attention about joins and pay attention about system functions. Another thing, this is case statements. Okay, so your case statements is when you want to basically say, so these are your like conditions inside of your select statements. Normally your conditions are set inside of your word clause because those are your filters, but here you're setting conditions inside of the select statement. So you're basically say case when this, then that, else this. So I'm going to say case when branch equals credit union, then partner, else null, end. That's how it goes. Union all. Okay? Union all. The union all will allow you to be able to query against 2 different databases and then basically put both of that information into one result. As long as all your columns are the same and you have the same amount of columns, you can definitely use a union or a union all. Now, one last thing before I go. I know some of you guys are probably saying, she didn't say anything about Python or R. Absolutely, I did not. Okay? Now, the reason why I didn't is because Python is a lot more harder and it takes a lot more time to learn it. I would recommend that you get the years of a little bit like a year or 2 under your belt with data analytics before you start going into Python. So if you see Python on a job description, a question to ask is, what percentage of my work will I be using Python? So then that way you can determine whether or not if you qualify for this position, which we talked about in the last video. So that's the reason why I did not mention Python. It's good if you do know it, but as a beginner, you do not have to go into Python. But you can worry about Python once you get SQL under your belt a little bit. Other than that, that is all that I have. I thank you guys so much for watching and truly appreciate that you did learn something from this video. If you do have any questions or comments, please put them down in the comments down below and I'll be more than glad to address them and answer any questions you may have. So I do hope I see you in the next video, and until then, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.